Welcome to the Aid Market Podcast, where foreign aid partners connect to learn about key funding trends and market insight. The podcast is co-hosted by Aid Connect Data, the pipeline and market intel software for USAID partnering, and Connected International, the leading USAID partnering support consulting firm. Now, here's your host, Mike Shanley.
Hello and welcome to this special episode of the Aid Market Podcast. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Nobel Peace Prize winner Leymah Gbowee to discuss her important peace-building work in Liberia. We also had the opportunity to discuss her advice for other peace-building organizations globally, as well as her insight into localization and the role that international NGOs and donors can play. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Ms. Gbowee, it is a pleasure to meet you, to have you on the Aid Market Podcast. Thank you so much for taking a minute or two to share your expertise on peace building and conflict prevention globally. So I know we have a limited time. I'd like to get started and just see if you could share with our listeners who are working for peace building organizations on conflict prevention across Africa, Ukraine, Latin America, with your experience and the pivotal work you did to win the Nobel Peace Prize. What were some of the things that made your movement that you led so successful?
I think, thank you so much for having me. One of the drivers of our success, I think, was the unity of the group, our ability to transcend all of those issues that divide us as a people, our ability to bring together Christian, Muslim, women from different political divides. That was the first major thing that made us to succeed. I think the second thing that helped us was, I would say, the ambition of ending the war. You can call it war fatigue, you can call it whatever, but that ambition, like we had a single mind. Peace, at that time, we imagined peace as the absence of, war. So that was what we were after, because we did not want our children to grow up in the same kind of conditions that we were living in. So those two factors, I believe that organizations that are doing peace work first need to deal with the things that separates them.
We then went on to discuss the peace-building organizations and her advice for those groups in more detail, as well as her thoughts on localization and the role that international NGOs and donors can play. Please note this conversation was recorded in September 2023. She does mention the upcoming Liberian elections. Thank you.
Our ability to transcend the issues that divided us, we recognize that we have more to gain by being together, and we had a lot more to lose by being apart. So bringing together Christian women, Muslim women, Liberia has 16 recognized ethnic groups, and all of those 16 groups coming together to work together, women who were from different political divides, all of us coming together. I think that unity that we had in purpose was a key driver to what we did. The second thing I believe is our ability to keep focus. Like we had a single mind. Peace, at that time, we imagined peace as the absence of, war. So that was what we were after, because we did not want our children to grow up in the same kind of conditions that we were living in. So those two factors, I believe that organizations that are doing peace work first need to deal with the things that separates them. And once you build a solid inner core group, you're able to withstand any of the pressures that come from outside. I think that was really, really key for the success of our work.
Thank you. And then the last question is, a lot of our listeners work for the large donors like USAID and the UN and World Bank. What is your advice for those donors, especially as many of them prioritize locally led development? And what role should they play with their resources in conflict prevention?
Well, I think a lot of the times we hear that donors are investing in local initiatives. The difference is that a lot of these funds go to organizations, big organizations that come, so they have these middle, large humanitarian organizations who are supposed to work with grassroots organizations on the ground. For decades, I would say, because over 2 decades of my work, I've never seen large organizations like USAID and some of these organizations go to the grassroots level and say, yes, funding, do what you know how to do best. It's usually bringing in organizations who are from different places and then having them have partners to do the work. And my critical outlook of that is that the vast majority of the funds then goes to paying staff, leading a lifestyle as expat for those people who are monitoring the large cars and all of the different things. And then at the end, the dregs of funding goes to the local organization. And then when they talk about local organization, it's primarily organizations that operate from the capital cities. Most of these places, organizations. And so at the end of the rank, you find that women's organization, especially at the grassroots level, tend to be disenfranchised more than other local organizations, because these women organizations, most of them working at the community level is for their livelihood, is for their own safety and security, the safety of their children. They operate like cooperatives. They do not have bank account. Most of them do not have registration document. All of the criteria that makes
some prerequisites
to get some of this funding. But if you go into these communities, these are the people who are holding the peace. These are the people who are striving for economic justice. These are the people who are doing all of the different work. In a few weeks, Liberia goes to election. And if you go into all of these communities, my foundation has been providing T-shirts and other things to community. And they will say to the women, because we really didn't get any funding to do non-violence work, they'll come and say, if you can just give us some T-shirts and stickers, we don't mind, because it is about our community.
Thank you. And as we wrap up, what is the best way to contact or to support your organization? Should they go to your website?
Our website, we have the Gbowee Peace Foundation, AfricaUSA.org. That's really the place for if you want to donate. But then also if you want to read about our work, Gbowee Peace Foundation, Africa.org, or Gbowee Peace Foundation on Facebook or Instagram. You see a lot about our activities that we do.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you for tuning in to the Aid Market Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and connect with Mike Shanley on LinkedIn to stay updated on the latest USAID funding trends.